If you love snow, and if you love winter, now is the time to give thanks. The time is 12:09 p.m., and it is November 24th. Welcome to another update of Great Lakes weather. Hopefully all of you are doing well today. In this video, we're going to break down a setup for a pattern change that is going to come in place across the Great Lakes region around Thanksgiving and after Thanksgiving. So we're going to break down just the potential events that could occur associated with this pattern change, as well as the snow that will come alongside it. So what you're looking at right now is the Weather Prediction Center's model or output for potential for snow across a given region. And you can see that there's a bright green area shaded across portions of Illinois, North Indiana, Northwest Ohio, and extreme southern lower Michigan. This is a 10 to 30% probability of snow or sleet exceeding 0.25-inch liquid equivalent. Again, if that's all snow, it's 2.5 inches of snow. So again, that's what this is putting out here. So it's a low chance that is being put out by the Weather Prediction Center, and it's going to come into better, I guess we're going to get a better idea of what's going to happen once we get closer to this event. There's still some heavy model variabilities with this setup. So that's why it's not really sounding the alarm and increasing those probabilities with that just yet. So it's something to watch out for. And then you can see as we get further out past Thanksgiving, again, this is for Thanksgiving, this little output here. But after Thanksgiving, you start to see that that output still continues to show the potential for snow across many portions of the Great Lakes region over the next several days. That is because we have a pattern change coming in that's going to bring a frigid blast of colder air, not necessarily very cold, but still temperatures will drop back down into the mid-20s for high temperatures potentially post-Thanksgiving, with low temperatures possibly reaching the teens. So that's kind of what's being put out by some of the weather models. And when we see a cold spike like that from the 40s and 50s down to the 20s, and you have those warm lake temperatures, lake effect snow is on the table. And that's kind of the thing we're going to talk about once we discuss this system that could come around Thanksgiving. So again, Thanksgiving system, impactful to travel, it could be. But again, there's still some variabilities, and we're going to look at some of the models. So raw model data, going to change a lot, but just give you an idea of some possibilities with regards to this setup. So let's dive in first to the upper level pattern. Again, what you're looking at here is the pressure at the 500 millibar level in the atmosphere. And what you see is you see these areas of red and these areas of blue. Areas of red are associated with, I would say, lower pressure at the ground level, and higher pressure in the upper levels is associated with the blue, because blue levels are associated with sinking air, and that sinking air, when it comes from a sinking air mass, typically cools things down, especially if it's from the poles, which some of this air could come from further north, which will influence our temperatures over the next few days. We're going to have a nice time of warmer weather between now and I'd say Wednesday. We might even get into the 50s with a little bit of rain. And then on the backside, as you see, we start to see some troughs start to make their way in. You can see that by Tuesday afternoon, we have this trough that's sort of making its way through. This will gradually start to cool things down a little bit throughout the week. And then as we get into Thursday, you start to notice this colder, I'd say, upper level pattern that starts to take shape. You get a sounding of here Thursday morning. This is Thanksgiving morning. You can see the temperatures are in the 30s. You do have a dendritic growth zone present, but it doesn't really look like there's going to be too much precip associated with that based on the GFS model. But as you progress it forward, you can see that that trough deepens, and it starts to really settle itself over the eastern continent of the United States with another trough sagging in behind it. And this is showing that there is a pattern change coming in that will favor some cooler air making its way through. And you can see another trough deepens over portions of Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio later on into next week as well. So you got a blast of some long duration cold air making its way through. This right here is a pretty deep trough that is making its way down from poles. It's going to be a blast of some cool air, still being consistently shown by some of the models. I know some of the meteorologists have been talking about this for a while, and that's because, yeah, it's been pretty consistent on some of the models that there's going to be cooler air making its way through. And that cooler air will likely trigger lake effect snow. And you can see that there's kind of a push of warmer air. I mean, we'll have to see how things go, but it looks like there could be a blast of some more cool air as we get into the mid-December time frame. We'll have to see how things pan out. Again, likely going to be a cooler than average winter, I'd say, due to the La Nina pattern that we have in place, and it could be a snowier one given the record warm lake temperatures, as well as the more moist than average La Nina pattern. So let's take a look at how this could play out. GFS, let's see if it'll generate. There we go. All right, back it up. So here we are, Sunday at, this is at 1 p.m. actually, so we're about an hour from now. Progressing it forward, you can see that there's going to be a small low pressure system that makes its way through on Monday, and then it passes over, kind of makes its way out of there. Could see some snow in the Upper Peninsula. How much snow? I don't think there's going to be a huge chunk of snow. I'd say maybe, yeah. I'm not going to say it's not going to be too impactful up there, but it's going to pass its way through. You get some cool air on the back side, and then this right here is the area in question for Thursday, okay? GFS is really playing this storm further to the south, whereas the Euro is playing it much further north with more snow. So there's still a heavy, I'd say, variance with those two models, and it's kind of hard to determine exactly what is going to happen, which is, again, why it's a low probability. It's very possible that this could sag further south, and we don't see any snow at all. But if it sags further north, that's when we start to see the potential for some snow. So that's the kind of the question at this place, okay? But regardless of whether that winter storm hits us or not, if it's going to be one, it's going to make that low pressure system going to pass its way through, and then we get cooler air on the back side. That's what's going to generate our lake effect snow. That cool air coming from the northwest, you got a 23-degree temperature difference from the lake surface up into the several thousand feet in the atmosphere, and once you get that, that's when you start to see that snow that could start to pile up across lakeshore areas. So I do think there's going to be a lake effect snow event post-Thanksgiving. The question is how much? That's still the thing in question. How cold is it going to get? And how potent will it be? And, I mean, the models have been pretty, I guess you could say, bullish with regards to the longer range outputs. So again, keep in mind, the long range output could easily change. But still, I do think there's going to be lake effect snow post-Thanksgiving. I'm pretty certain it's going to be accumulating lake effect snow too. So as we progress forward, you can see that we continue to kind of see small low pressure system move through here and there. December 1st, we've got this little bit of snow kind of clipping us. And then on the back side of that, we got that really cold air mass making its way in. And that cold air mass generates a pretty robust output for lake effect snow across western Michigan. So again, post-Thanksgiving is the time frame to watch. I don't know if it's going to start Friday or if it starts later than that, but that's kind of the question. So, going forward with that, you can see that it's really kind of sticks to its guns in regards to snow output for the longer range, but I'm not going to go too much further into this as it's still to be determined exactly how things will unfold. So, but it looks like we're going to start to see the cooler side of winter make its way in post-Thanksgiving. Let's see what the Euro kind of puts out for that northern mode for that Thanksgiving system. Again, Thanksgiving is probably the biggest question with regards to if we get a snowmaker across portions of Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio, maybe portions of southern Michigan. That's to be determined. And I think it's probably going to be on the lower end, but still, it's worth investigating. So you can see that snow making its way through portions of the Upper Peninsula tomorrow afternoon. I don't think it's going to be too heavy. Not really in terms of the amount of impacts that you could see, especially since you're in the Upper Peninsula. Yoopers know how to drive up there, am I right? So, going forward, you can see that there is still some lake effect snow that does occur back up there. Then, as we get into Thanksgiving, this is what the Euro is putting out, okay? The Euro is putting out the potential for a more northward mode of precipitation that will gradually transition from rain to sleet to snow on the backside, and in some places it will be heavy across portions of Ohio and Indiana in particular. How heavy? I don't think it's going to be, well, I mean, it's going to be brief because it's going to be moving at a relatively faster pace, but once that passes through, we're going to watch the potential for lake effect snow to form up on Friday ahead of this cold air mass, okay? You get a sounding out ahead of this. You can see that your ground temperatures are just slightly above freezing, but higher up in the atmosphere, you have a fully saturated, below sub-freezing atmosphere with a dendritic growth zone between 6,000 and 9,000 feet. That gives about 3,000 feet for ice crystals to form that will generate snowfall. So that is what we're watching out for, the start of potential for lake effect snow come Friday. And then as we go forward, it even continues through much of next week as well before finally dissipating a little bit. But looks like there's just going to be some multiple opportunities for lake effect snow based on these model outputs. So snowmakers, hooray! Or snowmakers, snow lovers, hooray! Those who have to get their snow blowers ready, you might want to do it before Thanksgiving. Get started, so that way you can enjoy your Thanksgiving and Black Friday before, boom, suddenly snow. How much it's going to be impactful to travel? Again, hard to tell. I don't think it's going to be, again, depending on how the models play out this system, I do think you might just want to be aware of some impacts to travel, especially on closer to the low. You can see you get that heavier snow. So if the Euro is correct, the GFS is correct, not to worry. We're not really going to be dealing with anything. But if the Euro is on point, more on point, we'll be dealing with some snow on Thanksgiving morning, which, again, you might be traveling. So keep that in mind. We don't want a planes, trains, and automobiles situation, am I right? So, snow totals. Now, when I put these out, I want to be very clear. This is not for certain. This is just something that is being put out by the models with regards to snow totals, okay? So again, when you look at these longer range, you see the big chunk of snow that's just kind of plopped over your area. You're going to want to keep in mind that this is a model. It is not, I would say, perfect, okay? So, we're going to take a look at all four of these, but this is up until December 4th. Make that very clear, which means this is probably a week Thanksgiving and then the week following Thanksgiving for snow totals, and also including that winter storm that could make its way through portions of Indiana and Ohio come on Thursday. So again, there's a lot more that's being piled up here than just for one particular event. This is over a series of multiple events. So Euro model, as of December, up to December 4th, you can see that it's putting out a good chunk of snow across pretty much all of the lakeshore counties of Michigan, also lakeshore counties in Ohio that are on the eastern side, and you can also see some heavy snow totals being put out in the Upper Peninsula. Again, these numbers, don't pay attention to them because those numbers really will not match up with what future models will say, but this gives us a little idea that, yes, these regions are likely to see lake effect snow come when that cooler air mass makes its way through. So I believe this output right here is associated with that thing that that storm that the Euro is predicting on Thursday. Again, it's showing the potential for 5 to 8 inches of snow in some spots. Is that going to be for certain? No, absolutely not. I think it's probably going to be a little lower than that. I actually prefer the blend of models output. It usually does a much better job. So you can see that it really doesn't project much snow at all for portions of Indiana and Ohio, maybe 1 or 2 inches, which I think is probably going to be a better assumption. Not really looking like a robust snowmaker, but it could impact travel on Thanksgiving Day, so it's good to keep in mind. But I do think this lake effect snow event is the event to watch and the event to chase when it makes its way through next weekend. So I'm already planning on figuring out how to chase this next weekend. It's gonna, again, the lake effect snow event last week was really unfortunate to witness that rollover crash around Plainwell, but luckily we got the authorities to respond and taking care of that. But we'll be out sometime next weekend potentially intercepting some heavier snow bands. So make sure to subscribe and stay updated. I'll keep you posted on the snow total potential, the potential for that snowstorm around Thanksgiving for some spots. Again, snowmaker, I shouldn't say snowstorm because it's not really. I think the more robust snow will come with that lake effect snow later on. So we'll keep that in mind. We'll keep watching on it. Thanks for watching, y'all. See you later.